If you work for a living, receive Social Security, or put in overtime hours, this is an update you need to hear. Major tax changes are coming, and they could have a huge impact on your paycheck, your benefits, and your savings. There's talk of no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime pay, and renewing tax cuts for the middle class. These proposals sound amazing on the surface, but what's really behind them? Are they truly going to put more money in your pocket, or is there something people aren't talking about? Let's break it all down, one by one. But before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to Benefit Genius so you never miss an update on taxes, Social Security, and financial strategies that help you keep more of your hard-earned money. Alright, let's get into it. First up, no tax on tips. If you work in a job where you rely on tips, whether you're a server, bartender, hotel worker, hairdresser, or in another service profession, this could be a game changer. Right now, tips are taxed just like regular income. You earn them, they get reported, and at the end of the year, you owe the IRS. Trump wants to completely eliminate federal taxes on tips. He made this promise loud and clear during his campaign, and now he's saying he'll work with Congress to pass a bill making it happen. This sounds like great news for tipped workers, but let's take a step back. How would it actually work? Would all tips be tax-free, or just up to a certain amount? Because here's the thing, if anyone could claim their income as tipped income, and avoid taxes, wouldn't that create a massive loophole? That's why many people, myself included, believe there will be a cap. For example, the law could say only the first $10,000 in tips per year is tax-free. Or, it could limit tax-free tips only to people in certain professions. We don't have those details yet, but I'd be shocked if there wasn't a limit. Still, if you make money from tips, this could be a big win for you. Next, let's talk about no tax on Social Security. If you're a retiree, you probably know the frustration of paying taxes on your own benefits. You worked hard for decades, paid into the system, and now that you're receiving Social Security, you have to pay taxes on it. It doesn't seem right. Currently, if you earn more than $25,000 a year as an individual or $32,000 as a married couple, half of your Social Security benefits can be taxed. If you earn more than $34,000 as an individual or $44,000 as a couple, 85% of your benefits can be taxed. And the worst part? These income limits haven't been adjusted for inflation, meaning more retirees pay taxes on their benefits every year. Trump is proposing to completely eliminate federal taxes on Social Security. That would be a major change, one that could put thousands of dollars back in the pockets of seniors. But the big question is, will it actually happen? Congress would need to approve this change, and so far, we haven't seen an official bill drafted. Even if it moves forward, will it apply only to certain income levels, or will it be across the board? If it does pass, retirees could see major savings. Now, let's move on to no tax on overtime pay. This one is especially interesting. If you've ever worked extra hours, you know that overtime can boost your paycheck, but also bump you into a higher tax bracket. Trump is proposing to completely eliminate federal taxes on overtime pay. At first glance, this sounds like a huge win for workers. More money in your pocket, right? But here's where things get tricky. Would this policy apply to everyone, or just certain jobs? And more importantly, could businesses start abusing it? Let's say an employer wants to reduce their tax liability. Instead of paying a worker $60,000 in salary, they could offer a lower base salary and reclassify the rest of the wages as tax-free overtime. Suddenly, companies save big on taxes, and workers might not see as much of a raise as they expect. This is why I believe, just like with the tip proposal, there will likely be a cap on how much overtime income is tax-free. Now, Let's talk about Trump's 2017 tax cuts. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 lowered tax rates for many middle-class Americans and doubled the standard deduction. That meant more people got tax breaks without having to itemize deductions. However, many of those cuts are set to expire. If nothing is done, tax rates will go back up for millions of Americans. Trump's plan is to renew these tax cuts permanently. That means continuing the lower tax brackets, the higher standard deduction, and possibly even more cuts in the future. And finally, we have some other key tax proposals worth mentioning. Adjusting the SALT cap, which affects high tax states like California and New York. Closing the carried interest loophole, which impacts hedge funds and private equity firms. Eliminating tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners. Cutting taxes on made-in-America products to encourage domestic manufacturing. So, with all these proposals on the table, what's next? It all comes down to Congress. Passing tax cuts, especially major ones, takes time, debate, and a lot of negotiation. There will likely be pushback, revisions, and possibly compromises before any of these changes become law. But one thing is clear. If any of these proposals pass, they could dramatically change the tax landscape for workers, retirees, and business owners. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think overtime pay, tips, and Social Security should be tax-free? Do you believe these tax cuts will help the middle class, or do you see potential loopholes? Drop a comment below and let's start a conversation. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to Benefit Genius so you stay updated on all things taxes, Social Security, and personal finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.